JD, welcome to my channel. What do we have here today? We've got an AWC Waltham pocket watch. So this is my pocket watch. Got this from a gentleman locally. It's running right now, but I'm telling you, there's something wrong with the crown here. I should have gloves on both hands, but I'm going to clean this watch anyway. So let me look under here. It's ticking away. It's a full plate pocket watch. So there you go. So I'm going to take this out, disassemble it, and see what we can do to get this thing running perfectly. So let me just flip this thing around here, and if you look closely, you'll notice that it is not a lever set watch. Oh, is it a lever set? Oh, no, it's not a lever set. Oh, is it a lever set? Yes, it is a lever set. Oh my God. Oh my God. So what I want to do here is make sure both levers are on both sides here. So when I undo the levers, when I take off the hands here, the the hands are aligned. And usually I would stop the watch to do that, but in this case, as you can see, this thing is not even catching for some reason. So there's something with the winding mechanism here that's broken or not working or some crazy thing. So hopefully it's fixable. I might be able to pop the hands off with this like this. Hopefully, see if I can get a sheet here and try to do that. I want to make sure the second hand is out of the way. I could actually take the watch of the movement out of the case first, but I want to take these hands off so I don't ruin them. Again, this is my watch. Now, if this is someone else's watch, I might be a little more careful, but it's mine, so don't really care. I don't really care. There we go. So that's both of the hands. Get my tweezers out here and get these out of the way. I'm going to have to get my glasses with the loop, because right now I don't have the loop on, and I need to have the loop on. I'm going to use smaller hand levers for the second hand here. So I know there's a lot of people out there who watch me do watch repair, and I really need to do more. I've been working too hard lately. I should actually stop the movement here to do this properly, so I'm going to do that. Sometimes you can stop the movement by just putting a small piece of Rodico along the side. In this case, I can just use my hand here and see if I can get it in the stopped position, and with any luck, it's not going to start again. No, that's good. Now, the question is, can I get my hand cranks out and very carefully remove this? I think I can take it out without having to put a piece of paper under, because it's very delicate. Or not sure here. There we go. So if you're really careful, you're not going to scratch the movement doing that. But again, my watch. I'm just saying. And these are obviously smaller hand removers than these beasts here. Now the value of having these hand removers here is that there's more surface area, so when you actually use the leverage here, you're not going to crack the face of the watch, which you don't want to do. So just move these parts out of the way. I'm really curious what the problem is with this watch. So I can take this out here. There's a screw, as you can see right here. That screw would hold the crown in, but in this case it's not doing anything. So I would undo that screw. It looks like it's just sort of semi-holding the crown in. I think I may have tightened this before, so it's of no consequence. It allows the crown to go out a bit, but not enough. Just a shout out to Bill out there. I'm not doing your watch until I'm completely relaxed over the Christmas holiday, and I can focus in on it and don't have anything to worry about. So in this case here, I can do some work on this watch. I need to get my glasses on though, because these babies are way too small. Let me go get the glasses on. All right, for you watchmakers out there, these glasses are near perfect. They have an airy loop on it. That loop costs probably about $120 US, and it flips up like that. It's a very high-end loop, and if you want to do watch work, you got to get the best equipment. So I'm going to go down a bit here and get down and dirty. So here I can now see what I'm doing, which is just a wonderful thing here. So just loosen that screw nice and easy. And I think this crown will come right out like that. And I'll just put this aside. It actually looks like it's in good position, or in good condition rather. It's a Sunday afternoon, so speaking English is not something I need to do. So let's just go over here, get another screw. And these are half screws here. These screws are half screws, so you can flip this around like so, and it'll pop out like that with a half screw. So that's what that's all about. And do the other side. And now with this open like that, I can just simply take the movement out like that. So there's the case. It's in good condition. I'll just set that aside. And here I have the movement. It's got a dust cover on it, as you can see. That's a dust cover, and those usually you just wedge those out, so they're not too hard to take off. So I just get a screwdriver in here. I'm going to remove these screws first, though, so they're out of the way. They're out of the way, out of the way. So I am back watchmaking. Not completely back watchmaking because I'm still working. So I am back part-time watchmaking, I'll call it. So if I had gotten someone else's pocket watch though to repair, I probably would wait till the Christmas holidays, like I said earlier, to ensure that I don't have any issues repairing the watch. Now, just a good idea when you're working on a pocket watch like this is to take the balance cock off first and set that aside. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to use this thingamajobby doohickey balance cock holding device, and I'm going to see if this will hold the balance, and just rotate that down a bit, because I like the balance itself to be resting, and the balance itself resting, so the hairspring doesn't get a lot of pressure on it. I've got a pad under here. I normally put this on a cushion, but I don't think I need to this time, because I'll just hold on to the side while I unscrew this. Hopefully that'll work. I don't have to put it in a movement holder, but I would put that in my Myers number 58 movement holder. But I do want to just remove the balance. Get that out of the way. Hang on. Somebody put a comment in one of my videos and called me an amateur, which kind of upset me a little bit, but I am actually an amateur. Now, see that the magnetism here is not good. So that's a little bit of magnetism. It's either on the screw or the screwdriver, one or the other. So I can just put my put the blade of my screwdriver in here. Now this particular escapement, you can pull this straight up. You don't have to go sideways like you would do with a watch or a different type of non-full plate pocket watch. So I just want to line this up so I can lift this up nice and carefully. Again, this is my pocket watch, I'm just saying. And then just rest this down like that, and I can see that just aligning it like this, that I got to move this back. So I'm going to hold on to that while I'm moving this back like so, quite quickly, so I don't drop anything. Now I'm going to move it all the way back, I think, and then I'm going to align this here, and I think we're good. Maybe, yeah, that's not bad there. So now the pressure is off of the spring with this. I've got it almost all the way down, but I think I can do a little bit better here. I think I can just twist that down even a little bit more, like so, and then make sure there, look at that. Thing of beauty, baby. Thing of beauty. Now you see the way that is resting? Like so. Just put it sideways. It's resting on the little pad. I bought this on AliExpress, not a bad movement holder, and you can adjust this here so it's further away, so just to accommodate the distance of the balance cock. So that's that. So now that's resting nicely. I can move that out of the way, and I just want to take off the dust cover here. And to do that, you just put your screwdriver in here and twist. I've done this a few times. Twist it like just a bit, and the dust cover should just slide right off. And when you put it back on, you just have to make sure it's aligned properly. So just going to work this off here. You can see it's not coming off that easy, but it will come off. So trust me. When you put it back on, you just have to make sure the hole here is aligned up with the hole for the stem. So you should be good. This should pop off in a second here. Let me get this. There we go. All right, take that off, and I'm just going to rest that inside the case. So there's the case again. I'll just rest that down. And usually I'll throw the hands and some other components into the case. So that's done. Now I'd like to take some pressure off the mainspring. So these things are all different. These pocket watches. In this case here, I can see that there's a little tiny. It's basically a ratchet button, I'll call it. And if I press that this way, the mainspring will unwind. But if I'm holding on to it while I do that, it's going to cause a problem. So I want to put my bench key in here and make sure I get the right size bench key. You can buy these bench keys at various places. I go to Dave's Watch Parts because Dave's pretty good. And you find the biggest one you can put in the hole, like that. And as you can see, the watch is windable like this. So when I put some pressure on this here, it should actually relieve. I should be able to wind this down when I put pressure on there. So let me just find another device to do this with. A screwdriver is probably good. There we go. Now I can feel the pressure and let it go and let it hook again. Reposition your fingers. Get your then wind it just a little tiny bit to take the pressure off this ratchet here, and then let it ride down again. And if you're really good, you can let it ride quite far. So I think it's all the way now because I feel no more pressure on here. Hopefully it doesn't go bing, right? Turn me into a liar. I'm going to just put this in for a second just in case it does some crazy stuff. Nope, there's nothing there, and you can see that you can see this is a bit loose. Just move that with my guitar fingernail. I like to tell people that I've got a guitar fingernail, and my fingernails wouldn't be like this unless I was a guitar guy. So now I could take the face off, so I'm going to do that. As you can see, there's right close here, there's a screw there, handy guitar plucking fingernails on one hand and nothing on the other. And there we've got inside, right inside there, those are the dial feet, and so this is squishing the dial feet. And so I need a smaller screwdriver to take this off. And I might have to get a little closer, but there we go. And you don't want to strip anything, and you probably want to loosen this, and then when this is loose here, not tugging away at the dial feet anymore, then you can let me see if there's something there. No, don't know what that is. If it's not tugging away at the dial feet anymore, then you can pull the dial off usually. But just make sure you got the screwdriver is in the slot so you don't strip the screws. These are really, really small screws. And keep an eye on them because you can lose them. You don't want to lose these screws because it makes it difficult then to snug that dial down. I have another video on dial feet soldering. It's just showing you how do you solder the dial feet on a watch. And it's pretty handy. I had to learn how to do that myself. Nobody trained me, and I just went through a ton of dial feet to get that done properly. So there's the dial, and it's in pretty good condition there, the dial feet right there. So I'm just going to put this again in here. So I got this in the watch like that. I'll cover all that later, and I can lay this down because there's no mainspring or no balance cock and spring on there. So, and I just remove the hour wheel here like that, get that out of the way. I've got to take off the cannon pinion. I have a cannon pinion remover that's better than pulling it up, but this one just came straight up. So you can take your tweezers, make sure it's straight up. I don't need to use my cannon pinion remover. And then this should just come straight up as well. That's the minute wheel, so that just gives you a different, it's all about the gearing, baby. It's all about the gearing. Now this thing here, as you can see how this works, let me see if I can show you here. When you put this in here, if you push down like that, see if that works. That should spring back. Now you see that's not catching. It's not catching because I believe this has to swing back into place, or I've got that on non-winding. So when I do this, because it's lever set, it pulls the lever out and this moves. And if this is moving, when this is moving, it's fundamentally moving this gear here, right, which is moving the cannon pinion in this case, right? It's lined up with the cannon pinion, so that's how that works. But right now it's out, so it's out. So there we go. And to wind it, you press that in, and this swings back and then lines up with the mainspring. Now, something fishy here going on, because when I turn this, it's not catching, and I don't like that at all. That seems to be what the issue is here. So I'm not sure whether this is adjustable, the screw here. I just don't know what's happening. Why is it not touching? All right, there's the problem. So when I push down with my finger on this, like that, there's enough pressure to actually wind it. So this screw here, over the years, is loosened up. So I tighten that a bit. Now I do this, and guess what? It winds. So the watch is fundamentally fixed. That's the only problem this watch had, is that screw is loose. So nothing worse than a loose screw, as they say, right? So I'm going to take a photo of this too, because I'm looking at, I've worked on these type movements many times, so I'm not really afraid of this movement. But I don't want to lose any parts, and I want everything to be cleaned properly. So I'm going to back this screw off, and I know there's a spring in there. I just want to make sure I don't lose anything. So, and I usually line up the parts. I just take the whole shooting match off, and you see that little bit right there goes right inside of this screw right there, so, or this lever right here. So that's how that goes in. It's tricky, but if I take a photo with this here, I'll know that that's supposed to be back where it's supposed to be, right? So just zoom in like that, take a quick photo, done, and I'm off to the races. So I can clean this whole unit here, and I try to match the screws up. This thing here, this little wheel here, rides on top of a spring that's underneath here. This spring right here, Jerry, right here. And that's different, because I've worked on other watches where the spring is on the side pushing up. This is kind of weird. It's weird. So that's that, and then you've got the, what's that, a crown wheel? Something like that. Anyway, you can take this off now too. And again, making sure I've got the right screwdriver, and I can use this mat. A lot of people ask me what this mat is. Like, hey, JD, what's that mat? This is a mat that my wife picked up for me at the dollar store. And guess what? Everything you buy at the dollar store costs $2. What is going on? So it's not really the dollar store, is it? It's the $2 store. So now I can flip this up. As you can see, look on the other side, and the side. The teeth are all good. Move that out of the way. And this spring here, I'm not sure if this spring here goes up or what. It may just come up. But this here click spring definitely, or the click definitely comes up. So I might be able to wedge that up. But we'll see. I'm going to take, again, another photo. Now I can just reverse the video later, but I like to take the photos just in case I've forgotten something, right? And this, let me look down close. I got to get in deep and dirty on this thing. There we go. So that's out. This watch is a little bit greasy right now, so I'm going to put these parts together like there, and I want to take the not sure if I want to remove this spring. I got to look at it closely. That's got a screw in there. I may leave these springs where they are. Sometimes if you remove these springs, you've got a chance of losing them. And really, there's no problem with them. When I clean the movement, they'll get cleaned too. I just don't want to lose them. That's a big problem. And this spring here, this one here is a little worrisome, so I'm not sure how this is attached. Because that pushes up on there, and I think there's a little bit of a piece of metal there that is used to hold it in. So every time they build one of these darn watches, they have a different way of doing it. So I can flip this around now. Now I want to get my number 58 movement holder so I can do some good work here. All right, we're back and off to the races. So this is the number 58 movement holder. It's frigging amazing. Myers number 58 movement holder. I think I've got 3 of them, but I hunt for these all the time. They are not cheap. If you go on the internet to buy one of these, right now it'll probably run you $250 if you're lucky. So, but they're amazing movement holders, and they can accommodate any size watch. So they've got the 2 holding devices here. They're just phenomenal for pocket watches. So you slide these out here, and in the movement holder there's springs on either side that kind of push up that hold these in place. I've cleaned these the best I can, but I could probably clean them a bit more, but for now they're fine. So you slide that in like that. And another thing that's really cool about this movement holder is they've got this little edge here, and that edge, when it grabs that movement, ensures that movement's not going to go anywhere. So somebody was pretty friggin' smart when they designed these. It had to be a non-engineer, because engineers would overthink it. So I've got that. I've got this like this. I've got the center wheel here, and I got to watch this little tiny pivot sticking out there. That's the pivot for the second hand. So when you're playing with pocket watches, don't fart with the second hand pivot, or you're going to pay for it. So I just make sure I know where that pivot is at all times. And right now it is, I lost it. Oh, there it is. It's right there. So that pivot's right there. So I'll put that kind of in the middle here. When I squeeze this in, and the way this works is you press the button on the side, and it'll run around the rails, and then you squeeze it in, and you see how it grabs the edge of the pocket watch. And then now when I tighten it like this, there's a spring in here, so I can't over tighten it. It's not directly squishing the pocket watch. It's just tightening it slightly, right? So now it's tightened, and this provides an exceptional platform to work on the pocket watches, because it's not going to flip like when you're working on a watch and you put pressure on the sides and you're in your traditional watch holder watch movement, which is, see if I can grab one here. They look like, trying to grab one without making too much of a mess here. They look like, okay, bear with me. They look like this, like that. And when you put pressure on the watch, often these things, the watch will flip out of there. So this is far superior than these type movement holders. So get yourself a Myers number 58 movement holder, and you will be the king of watch repair. So, by the way, I love pocket watch repair. I don't particularly like watch repair as much. I don't know why. Maybe it's because it's too hard. But I love reconditioning old pocket watches and repairing them. When I do watch repair, I've got to pay attention too much, I think. And I've made jewel settings on watches with my lathe. I've done all kinds of work on watches, or pocket watches, and I just love working on pocket watches. So, and I like to be very careful when I'm working on a pocket watch. And watches are a little trickier. I bought a watch cleaning machine. I think I made a video on that, and it came from India, and it had a 240 plug on it, I think, and it was an made in India plug, which is not the same as the plug I would have up here in good old Canada. Oh, Canada, as they say, right? So the plug was a bit of an issue. When you go to wedge your screwdriver under here, wedge it right where the balance cock is. That way, if you make any little marks, they're covered. When the balance cock, the actual plate goes down, it's covered. If you do it over on this side and you scratch it at all, you're going to see it. So I try not to scratch anything, but I do it on this side where the balance cock is. So that's a little tip for you out there in watch land. And again, I'm grouping my screws so that they're friendly. And then I should be able to just pull that straight up and out like that. There we go. And there's another wheel underneath there, and that, or is there? I think there was a ratchet wheel in there. But I can just now remove the plate here. And this, the escapement on these things is a bit tricky. When I go to put this thing back together, there's a couple of tricks that I've learned on how to do it without, how to do that, because you'll see that the pallet fork is not, it's not a simple pallet fork to put in. So I use Rodico to hold it in place while I flip the thing around. I'm not being careful with my screws here, but I didn't hit the watch plate. So again, it's my watch, so frig off. They say frig off, no comments. I can see fingerprints here from the last watchmaker. There's some CSI people out there. Go check that out, but I can see fingerprints from the last watchmaker. There's the gearing on the inside. So when I'll wash these parts, and I'll check every tooth on the watch, because I've had pocket watches that I've repaired that I thought were in perfect condition, and they weren't, because one of the teeth, had been bent, and that caused a big issue. So now that I've got the screws out, I want to put my screwdriver right on the edge of this pillar here, and then just sort of rock it a bit back and forth, and that should pick the plate up. There we go. As the plate is now out, as they say, and it has dropped the pallet fork out, which is good. So I can move this out of the way now. So I just place this plate over here, and I've got the 3 screws. I want to group those with the plate so I have no issue with remembering where these things go. Let me do that. And now I've got, this is the pallet fork here, as you can see, and it's a strange looking pallet fork. There it is there. So that needs to be cleaned. Now I can clean that in alcohol, or I can clean it in a cleaning solution. Again, I should apologize for my fingernails again, but I do play guitar, and I do have to have long fingernails to play those Yes songs. So let me move the pallet fork out of the way, and now I should be able to just pull these components up. But before I do, just so I don't forget, I'm going to take another picture of the watch movement. There we go. And this lets me just remember the position these parts were in as I took them out. So there's a wheel there, and there's another wheel there, and that was the second wheel, and there's the center wheel comes straight up like that, and then this wheel is the intermediate wheel, I think. Yeah, that's the intermediate wheel, comes straight up like that. This here I will not remove, so I don't think there's any way I can remove it actually. And I believe I'll leave the spring in place. Let me look down here for a second. Yeah, it's got a screw in it. I want to leave that in place. And there's that little spring leaf that was in there that I'm actually going to leave right where it is. So there we go. Let me unscrew this. So I'm loosening this up, as you can see, but then I press this little side button here, and it lets this ride along the threads, and it doesn't damage them at all. But you can see how I can do that, and you can see how this thing has got spring in it, like that. So when you tighten it up, it doesn't screw up your watch movement. So there we go. I'm just going to place this like that, and I'll throw that in the watch cleaning machine. And let me zoom back to my mess here and show you what I got. This is what I got. There it is. That's the pocket watch disassembled and ready for cleaning. So I'll be able to clean that. I'll look at the case too. I think you need to keep your case vintage, I'm told. So don't, you can clean the case up and shine it up completely. It depends what the customer actually wants. If they want the case completely clean, then you go ahead and shine it up and polish it, but you got to watch it, because it's filled, gold filled, so there's actually a thin layer of gold on there, and if it's guaranteed for 20 years or 25 years, that means that thin layer of gold will stay in place for that long. So I will wash the case, but I usually do the cases by hand. I usually use lighter fluid and wash the case by hand, so I know what the heck I'm doing and not throw it into the machine, right? So, but all the rest of this can go into the watch cleaning machine. I need to actually clean the balance as well, so I'll have to disassemble that balance and examine the jewels. I need to look at all of the jewels on the top and bottom of this watch to make sure there's no cracked jewels. And if I look at this, if I look at the watch carefully, this looks like a 7 jewel, but there's 2 right here. So I'll look at these to see if I've got to replace these jewels. Let me go into the camera here. You can't see a darn thing. There's 2 jewels here, and I want to make sure that these jewels are still good. Let me just zoom in on those. See those jewels there? So I'll look under my microscope, make sure that's good, and also I want to lift this up here and basically clean this as well, and I'll do that in lighter fluid as well, so I've got control over it as I'm cleaning that in lighter fluid with a light brush. Okay, so I'll do that after. And these jewels here, it looks like they're in settings, so I'll have to take those screws out, and then from this side here I'll just push those settings straight out and be able to clean those jewels. Unless I can just leave it in place and clean the jewels. That's another thing I can do. If I throw this whole darn thing, but there's usually a cap on the end of here, so I do have to take this off, take the cap off. Let me just zoom in again. I do need to take the cap off here so I can get to that second jewel and then clean the cap jewel and put the cap jewel back on. I've done this a million times on my videos. You can look it up and see and watch that activity. So, but that's all I want to videotape today. That's the disassembly of this watch, the AWC Waltham pocket watch and all of its pieces. And it wasn't too hard, and the balance looks pretty good. I'll have to check the pivots out over here on the balance to make sure there's no issues with the pivots. I don't think there's a problem, and I'll just work on that after. Thanks for watching my channel. That's the disassembly. Not sure if you want to watch the assembly. You can tell me if you want me to do an assembly video later. But it's getting late, and I don't want to play with assembly when I'm not fully awake. Do it in the morning when you're making coffee, and no, don't drink coffee before you fix watches. You'll get all shaky. So I'm JD. Welcome to my channel again. That was an interesting disassembly of this old Waltham pocket watch. And as you notice, some of the springs I decided to leave in place because you do have a chance of damaging those springs. If you damage those springs, there's no way of replacing them. It's going to be very, very difficult for you to source the parts. You can go to Dave's Watch Parts. I'll drop a line for Dave. So he's been very good with me over the years when I've had to find a very special jewel or some crazy wheel. He got some balance staffs for me that I couldn't make one of the balance staffs because they were punch out, and I couldn't make that type, and he found a balance staff for me that worked perfectly. So Dave's Watch Parts, go see him. He's got all of the parts. So he's got NOS parts, which stands for New Old Stock. So he's a pretty good dude, and you just have to email him and tell him exactly what you want and give him the serial number of the watch that you're working on, and he can look it up and make sure you've got exactly the right parts. All those manuals you see behind me in the video, those are actually books that I have. I've got tons of books on watch repair, and usually I'll read if I've got to do a special thing like make a jewel setting or even making a balance staff. I don't do it that often anymore, so whenever I've got to make a balance staff, I don't want to screw it up because it takes almost 3 hours to complete a balance staff properly, and then have it make sure you burnish the pivots properly and it's right size and everything else. So it's a lot of work to make a balance staff. You're definitely not getting the money if you're getting paid to do a job to make a balance staff. You're getting what I call Tim Hortons wages, or it would be donut store wages for the U.S. folks. So Dunkin' Donut wages. Good old Dunkin' Donut. I remember him. Funny, the guy's last name was Donut, eh? First name's Duncan. Anyway, so so I think I'm funny. That's the bad part about all this. I think I'm funny, and I'm probably not. So in disassembling this watch, it wasn't a big deal because it's not that bad a disassembly, but assembling it's a little tricky because it's a full plate watch and you got to tinker with it, and I might show you how that's done. But I do have a ton of videos online where I show disassembly of Waltham full plate pocket watches and that sort of thing. So I'm going to put this in my watch cleaning machine and go clean these parts, baby. I'll basket the parts properly and make sure the screws are grouped and give it a good cleaning. And like I said before, I'm going to examine the jewels under my stereo microscope and take the balance off, push the stud out, take the balance off, clean the balance and the hairspring, and then reassemble the whole thing, and then reassemble the watch. And you saw where the problem was in the watch. One of the screws, I can't remember the name of that part, but the screws that's holding the top of that 3-wheel setting mechanism, it was loose. and so when you turn the winding mechanism, it wouldn't catch. It's sort of the two gears would slip like this, say, so they weren't, one of them was up too high like that, and the other one would slip underneath it. So when they're even like that, the gears will catch and then the thing will wind. So that basically fixed that watch. It's a beautiful movement. I love the fact that the movement's got the case is it's hinged in the front, and it's also hinged in the back, and it's got a nice dust cover on the movement. Usually when they had a dust cover on the movement, it was a more high-end movement because of the dust cover. It looks like it's a 17 jewel movement because there's only a few jewels that I saw that on the top, and the other ones were non-jeweled holes for the wheels. And that's old school, man. That was before the railroad watch time. So this watch is likely late 1800s, I would suggest. But it'll clean up nicely, and I'll perhaps make a video of the reassembly if you can put up with that much boredom. My God, you got to be a watchmaker to watch this stuff. You're going to shoot yourself. So anyway, that's I'm JD. So welcome to my channel again. I didn't have an intro this time, but thanks for watching my channel. Thanks for supporting my channel. I do like watchmaking, and I do like to show how you disassemble these old beasts. I love working on old pocket watches. If you'd like me to do a servicing of your pocket watch, let me know. I like working on North American pocket watches. The ones from the UK, not so much, because it's very hard for me to source parts for these watches. And I like working on pocket watches that are family heirlooms because people can't get anyone to get them going again. And I've done quite a few of those over the years. I'm pretty happy with my performance on those, and I've had some very good notes back from people. I'll always get them running again unless there's something ridiculously wrong. If I can't get it running, I'm not going to charge you. So I don't charge for inspecting the watch and all that crap. You send me the watch, I fix it. I give you a reasonable price for fixing it. Usually if it's just a simple cleaning, it's around 200 US for simple cleaning. If I've got to do more, it goes up to 300. If I got to replace a mainspring, it's another 50 bucks probably. If I've got to start making jewel settings and stuff, and it's like a 21 jewel high-end $2,000 pocket watch, it's going to cost you a bit more because not a lot of people can make settings on their lathes. So I can. I'm very proud of that. The learning I did and the technique I used to make jewel settings. Anyway, enough bragging for now. So if you want to get a hold of me, just send me a note on YouTube or email me at jdwatchservice@gmail.com. Someday I'll retire and do this full time. And this is called Watch My Service. So please subscribe. Please share my videos. I hope you like this quick disassembly of the pocket watch. Hope I didn't screw anything up too much. And I'll see you next time. Catch you on the flip-flop. See you later. Thanks for watching my channel. Bye.